course it won't happen. And so this block of constitutionality that I was talking about, these special rules, special laws who are between the constitution and the rest of the rules, are integrated for one organic law approved by the Spanish government, by the Spanish Parliament in 1980, and also for the Statutes of Autonomy, which is also an organic law, a special law, who establishes the autonomous capacity of each autonomous community. In Catalonia, we had a new autonomous statute approved in 2006, and who theoretically was supposed to be completely developed already for by specific laws, but it has not happened yet for different reasons. One of them is that the rest of the Spanish autonomous communities are waiting, also a change of the system, but another point is different public part, different recursos de inconstitucionalidad, unconstitutional questions were submitted in front of our constitutional court, and they have not resolved yet. So the point is quite difficult to know how it's going to be developed. At the end, it seems that the Constitutional Court already resolved previous cases, not related directly with the autonomous community system, but with the current Statute of Autonomy of Catalonia, but yes, with previous autonomous financial questions. And it resolved that the ability to establish the general rules of the game, the general rules of the Spanish financial systems, belong to the Spanish Parliament, the Spanish government, because so is settled in the Spanish Constitution, who talks about the general treasury. And that's why they are supposed to have this competence. The problem is how do we distribute the incomes and how we distribute the expenses. About the incomes, and I was talking with Sandra more or less about this question, between the Spanish Constitution, even the Spanish Constitution establishes that every autonomous community has the right to levy their own taxes. Plus, they have the right to participate in the taxes of the state. The problem is how we establish this percentage of participation on the state taxes. The new system foresees the increase of participation, of the percentage of participation of the autonomous communities in the state taxes. Let's see, in the VAT, in the personal income tax, these are taxes already regulated by a Spanish law, by a state law, and what this block of constitutionality laws establishes is they give some capacity to approve laws regarding the state tax events. So that means each autonomous community may approve a law regulating some aspects of the personal income tax, some aspects of the inheritance and gift tax, or some aspect, for example, wealth taxes also. So it's regarding certain aspects, certain taxes, the autonomous communities may also approve regulate certain aspects. Regarding other taxes, the autonomous communities have no possibility of regulating, but they receive part of the total income that is generated through this tax. And, well, about the percentages and the main taxes, I have, in my paper you have a quadro, a schedule, and a table, yeah, and you can see it there properly. The second point then, which is most complicated one, is how to decide how spends the state his budget. It's obviously each autonomous community will spend his budget in his territory. So in this sense, there is no problem between the different autonomous communities. But the problem is how spends the state the money, because his, let's say, expense territory area is the whole state. And there's been a historical conflict in Spain about the certain communities say they have been historically discriminated with much less investment from the state, and others are supposed to be the rich ones who have already received a lot of investments. The criteria about these expenses are settled, some of them in the Constitution, who provides also the public expenses principles criteria, but also in this organic law that I was telling you, the 1980 Organic Act. The principles are basically refer to the respect of the unity of the Spanish territory, and it's necessary to take into account that as the autonomous communities increase their competences, they have every time a bigger need of expenses, and theoretically the state must compensate with more participation in the state incomes this more expense of the autonomous community. Each autonomous community may decide how and when to spend its budget. But as long as certain basic fundamental services have been transferred to the autonomous communities, the Constitution also foresees that all of them must have a minimum quality service in the whole territory. We are talking basically about education and health services. And well, the criteria are quite difficult to define. In fact, this is the main discussion of the subject is how to distribute the expenses of the state. Just to let you know more or less, they are proposed. We have already some funds. For instance, we have currently we have the sufficiency fund, which means all these services must have a minimum of quality in the whole territory. And by now, what is discussed is to create 3 funds to guarantee also public services, a minimum quality of public services in the whole territory. And to establish this fund, the criteria are population, surface, dispersion of the population in the territory, insularity regarding the Islas Canarias, basically, and also the protected population, which is divided in 3 groups. Kids from 0 to 4 years, 5 to 74 years old people, and then plus 65 years old, which are supposed to be who generate most expenses on those who are more in a creative or productive age. The question of how to distribute taxes is the expense of the state is very relevant also because we have quite a lot of taxable concurrency between the autonomous communities. There are certain taxes that are levied in one autonomous community that are not levied in the other one because they decide to approve, I don't know, an exemption, whether a tax benefit that applies at the end as a tax exemption. And these communities also want to participate in the state expenses. So they want to receive as much expense of the state as the other ones. And the ones who are still paying all these taxes say, well, if we have the same fiscal capacity and you don't have the same fiscal tax income because you decide not to levy such a tax, don't make the rest pay for your expenses. No? So this is more or less the main problems. Well, and more or less this is the actual situation in Spain that I wanted to let you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The auditors. Maybe if I can ask, for those of you who are not familiar with the concept of organic